presentations, the topic is whether the high-rise be affordable. So as I said, PK, you were not there that time. The basic topic is making in current situation where the FSI is going higher. Now the redevelopment project, what we used to do, 225 square feet. In fact, I have done 180 square feet before that. So that time ground plus 4, ground plus 7 was possible. Now when the government is promising 500 square feet of carpet area, buildings are going much taller. So what will be the solution? So we have got 4 speakers apart from me. Mr. Sandeep Maheshwari, CEO of Raymond Realties. We have got Kalwadia, Associate Hafiz Contractor. We have got JP Agarwal, my friend from Calcutta. And architect Atul Shah, Access Architects, Mumbai. So, as I said, now the city is experiencing different DC regulation, and the book itself contains the situation where the FAR, FSI, whatever we call it, is going taller, it is going higher. 8 is the maximum FSI, what they are promising. In many of the redevelopment schemes, whether they are redevelopment of Mada colonies, whether they are slum redevelopments, or you can say cluster development, the FSI is more than 4, or in fact now unlimited FSI for most of the redevelopment schemes. And when you are allowed to club, the proposals are becoming more profitable, but simultaneously we are experiencing a situation where 2 plots are clubbed, where on one plot there is rehabilitation component, and with huge FSI it is going much higher. So when you go high rise for rehabilitation component, the problem is affordability. Affordability is not just point of view of purchase, affordability from the point of view of operation, the maintenance of it. Once you give it free, what will happen? So these are few projects I'm just showing in short, where we try to give affordable housing, and the city which was not meant for those kind of projects, and we end up into doing those high-rise buildings. Like this was 22-story bid in Bhopal. We started as an affordable project, but by the time it got at the finishing stage, it was luxury housing. So we are experiencing this in many places. So these are few projects like Indore, Bhiwadi, which is on Alwar Road in Rajasthan, then Manipal in Mangalore, near Mangalore, then Udaipur, Nagpur, Wathoda. We did, these are all projects where we changed the definition of high-rise. Now, high-rise, the definition is relative. Many of the places where we went, like Bhiwadi, the only project that time was done by Kajaria Tiles. They were the developers, and the housing was ground plus 3. And when we did the first 10-story building, that was high-rise for that locality. And then how the affordability will work. So people have a different view at looking at these type of projects. So when we did few projects like the one I showed you in Bhopal, that time, that was the first 22-story building in Bhopal, and they didn't have the provision for even the fire tenders. So the developer donated 2 fire tenders, Hitachi's fire tender, to the fire department so that they can get the permission for 22-story building. Something similar we have experienced in many places, like the township we did in Purnia, Bihar. Then something we did in Bhayandar, that is the highest rate, fetching 11,000 rupees in Bhayandar. But then now there are many projects. The cities have got tendency to change the definition of high rise. What is today's definition will not remain constant. The cities will keep on seeing much higher buildings eventually because of the need of the housing. This is very peculiar residential building we completed in Kandivali. It started as affordable housing. My client told me, Vivek, I want 1-bedroom apartment. I resisted. I in fact was insisting more onto 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom apartments. and he got a huge success. He sold almost like 350 apartments in the first week. But whatever was remaining, all those one bedroom apartments, even after completion of the entire project, he had those one bedroom, because he started booking at the rate of 3,500, ended up into 17,000 rupees. So then it doesn't really remain affordable. Something similar happened with one of these townships we are doing in Naigaon. So now it has been taken over by Suntech. You must be seeing those advertisements. So when I went on the site for the first time in 2007, all the buildings were ground plus 2, ground plus 3 in the vicinity. And when I gave the first picture, the rendering, what you see, my client was absolutely horrified. And I insisted on going for 14-storied building. He was not ready. I insisted on my one, aluminum shuttering. He was not ready. Eventually I agreed for it, and he constructed only 7-story. But then by that time the definition changed, and he got that bonus of additional 7 stories on the same 7 stories which were existing. So now the next phase came is 20-story, 22-story, and now the further phases are going much higher. So this transformation is bound to happen. So these are the examples which I am giving. Then the luxury building, what we did in city, Vanavigna Park, there is a byproduct. In fact, the luxurious building is a byproduct. So byproduct of what? A redevelopment component. So we had this 1,000 plus families there in the backside of Vanavigna Park, and it's a gold rated building, what we completed. Now the situation is such that people don't want to go into high rise. The redevelopment tenants, they don't want to go on the higher floors. So in this one of the redevelopment, it is stalled right now. But then the experiment what the developer did, he offered the lower floors to the redevelopment, the members, the society members, and the upper floors were for sale. And he kept the same amenities for sale and rehab component both. And it was a huge complex, 50-story, 28 towers. This is one redevelopment project everybody knows, that is in Mumbai. Of course, many of the architects, they participated in this. We won this competition on this layout where the rehabilitation component was restricted to 22 stories. There was no basement. Specifically, there was no basement, and we started constructing the first phase in the open plots which were available. And you can see the second phase is coming up by shifting those people. So absolutely no transit camp was there. But eventually when the contractor came on board, he said he doesn't want to go for part development for any sector. He wanted only the complete one sector open. That means he wanted kind of a greenfield development for this kind of project. And in fact, that is why the project stalled for a very long time. And the regulation changed, the parking requirement got added 4 folds, and then eventually the basements were added. And then my friend Carl got involved into this, and he somehow convinced the entire system to remove that basement and again construct in the open plot, which was the original idea of the competition. And the contractor, who was not actually ready for individual buildings to be started, he was somehow convinced. And now the project is at different level. So I always say thank you, Carl. You are the dear friend here. So this was the layout. And actually only 2.5 acres of the vacant plot is usable. So whatever green you see, only 2.5 acres. So remaining plot was actually encumbered, the encroachment was there. Even today, after we somehow convinced the client, we could only start one building because the remaining encroachment they could not vacate. But somehow, with lots of efforts of the current government, we are very, in fact, positive that by end of this month, we are going to start at least 10 more buildings. The buildings are getting vacated now. Yeah. So the encroachment, as usual, when we go for redevelopment, the encroachment becomes the problem. Existing chawls are 100 years old, so you cannot demolish them, and you'll have to maintain some safety. So we had to design this building within the existing chawls in such a way that we don't want to ship this building into transit camp. We'll be directly shifting them into the rehabilitation buildings. So the first plot which is visible, it's a rehabilitation, that is the sale component. The second one is the sale component, that is the commercial building which is coming up, again encroached. We are trying to remove the encroachments. And this is the rehabilitation component where we could start those 2 buildings. Out of that 2 buildings, again there is some encroachment, so finally we could only start 1 building, and the remaining encroachment will be removed. But these are very ambitious projects, and the designer's role is more to actually solve the issues which are related to members and tenants, and solving the social and socio-economical problems. But then in my opinion, affordable housing doesn't really mean that congested housing, or even the original design, what you saw, 22 story, the window to window distance of 2 apartments were like almost 36 meters. In this new design where we could go up to 40 stories, the window to window distance is 64 meters. There is no mechanical ventilation. All the apartments are directly opening. There is a cross ventilation in fact. And the biggest problem is the shopping. We have got 800 shops in the total development. So we are providing complete different shopping center away from the building footprint. So this is how the parking and the shopping arrangement is there. Because these buildings are going to be developed in pieces, although this is one whole sector, but only 2 towers are starting. So I'll have to take the occupation for 2 towers. So I have made the design in such a way that the parking is not dependent on any other place. So the parking will be, required parking will be along with the building. And this is the podium parking along with the residential units on the periphery. And this is how the green area is there. The garden is on 2 levels. So you can see all these apartments, the light and ventilation is fully taken care of. There is no privacy issue. When you have got so many number of apartments, you'll see all the living rooms are facing in such a way that they are not looking into each other. The units, you can see there is not a single square inch of a passage wastage. And I had to fit this 2-bedroom apartment in 500 square feet carpet. And these 3 variants are there. All the room sizes are same. That is what is the basic requirement. The members will not agree otherwise. This is the shopping center, the frontage side. The parking above. This is the building. This is one sector. So you can see this is just one sector. We have got around 13 sectors. The total development is around 2.8 crore square feet, and we are hopeful that by end of this month we'll be able to start 14 buildings, 12 buildings at least, and 14 we are hoping. By end of this year we are going to start total altogether 16 buildings. And thank you.